Most people walk into a room and shrink. They adjust. They bend. They look around to see what others think before they speak, before they move, before they even breathe. But the rarest kind of person walks in and does not shrink. He expands, not with noise, not with arrogance, but with presence, with a mind so composed, so still, so rooted in its own depth that the room bends around him. This video is not for the loud. It is for the few who are done with pretending, for the ones ready to build a mind that silences the world without saying a single word. Let's begin. A powerful mind is not built on noise. It is forged in silence, in solitude, in the spaces where no applause is heard and no validation is given. The world chases distraction, but you will sit still. The world seeks praise, but you will seek truth. And in that quiet commitment to inner mastery, you become unshakable. While others react, you observe. While others defend their ego, you discard yours. A strong mind terrifies because it cannot be controlled. It does not flinch when challenged. It does not seek revenge when disrespected. It watches. It understands. It calculates. And then, if necessary, it moves with a precision that leaves the world speechless. You don't need to announce yourself. The gravity of your mind will do it for you. But to reach that point, you must train. You must confront every weakness in your thinking. You must look at your fear and say, "You do not lead me anymore." You must wake up every day not to impress, but to improve. You must guard your attention like a warrior guards his last blade. Because every distraction is a theft. Every mindless scroll is a step away from who you are meant to become. So choose your thoughts like a craftsman. Shape them like steel. Hold them like fire. And never let the noise of the world shape your identity. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be undeniable. Not by what you say, but by the weight of your presence. Let others talk. You walk in silence. Let others chase. You stand still in truth. That is how you build a mind that terrifies. Not with force, but with depth. Most people are terrified of silence because it forces them to hear their own thoughts. But you make silence your domain. In that silence, you observe everything. You notice how people flinch when they are not being heard. You recognize how quickly they react when their egos are pricked. And you remain still. Not because you are weak, but because your power does not beg to be noticed. A terrifying mind isn't loud. It is still, grounded and exact. It knows when to speak, and more importantly, when to remain quiet. Your silence becomes your weapon. While others try to prove themselves, you study. While others crave approval, you master detachment. This world is not shaped by noise, but by those who understand the rhythm beneath it. Every time you resist the urge to react, you sharpen your mental blade. Every time you delay gratification, you gain a level of control others only dream of. You do not get pulled into battles that don't matter. You conserve your energy. You hold it like a coiled spring, releasing it only when the moment demands precision. And that is what unnerves people. They don't know where you stand. They can't read your next move because you are not playing their game. You are designing your own. A mind like that doesn't compete. It dominates quietly. It does not shout. It echoes. And in that echo, people feel the weight of something deeper, something they can't manipulate or provoke. That is the kind of mind you are building. Quiet, unshakable, ruthless with your focus, invisible in your moves, and powerful in your presence. You see, a powerful mind doesn't need permission. It doesn't seek applause. It rewires itself in the dark, away from the noise, far from the crowd. When people are chasing likes and attention, you are chasing mastery. They scroll, you study, they talk, you listen, and when you finally speak, your words cut through the air like truth wrapped in steel. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be respected. And that respect is not bought with charm. It is earned through consistency, through relentless self-honesty, through the brutal discipline of becoming better each day. You no longer react just because someone wants you to. You don't explain yourself just to make others comfortable. You've realized something they haven't. Most people's opinions are noise. And noise cannot touch a mind that lives in signal. This power you are cultivating, it's not about control over others. It's about control over yourself. When you can watch your own anger rise and not obey it, when you can feel the urge to prove something and let it pass, you're no longer a slave to impulse. You're dangerous in the most sacred way. You don't need validation because you validate yourself with your actions. And that, right there, is what terrifies the world. Because nothing is more unsettling than someone who cannot be manipulated. Someone who doesn't need attention. Someone who is not moved by fear. That is the kind of power they don't understand. And that is exactly why you will rise. Quietly, fully, relentlessly. You stopped looking for shortcuts a long time ago. You know that building a mind powerful enough to silence a room requires pain, patience, and an almost monastic commitment to your inner code. You don't flinch when life tests you. You welcome it, because every trial, every betrayal, every moment of doubt is another weight on the bar of your mental strength. While others complain, you adapt. While they seek comfort, you sharpen your edge. Your silence is not weakness. It is precision. It is restraint. It is the discipline to observe before acting, to understand before judging, and to build before boasting. People will project their fears onto you. They will misunderstand your calm. They might even resent your strength. Let them. That's not your concern. You didn't craft your mind to impress the crowd. You forged it to lead, to survive, to thrive when others fall apart. This is the kind of mental architecture Nietzsche spoke of, the kind that sees through illusion, that endures solitude without losing its fire, that turns suffering into structure. You're not just thinking differently. You are becoming different, detached from the drama, immune to approval, and obsessed only with what truly matters. And when you walk into a room, you won't have to say a single word. Your presence will do the talking. Your energy will carry the weight of 1,000 sentences. That is the mind you're building. One thought at a time, one choice at a time, one brutal truth at a time. There comes a point when you stop negotiating with your weaknesses. You stop entertaining the voice that tells you to slow down, to take it easy, to compromise. That voice gets quieter every time you choose discipline over distraction. Every time you say no to comfort and yes to clarity, your mind becomes more dangerous. Not because you seek to harm, but because nothing can shake you. You become the calm in the chaos, the stillness in storm. While the world spirals in emotion, you remain rooted in reason. And this doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you rewired your instincts. You no longer chase validation. You study it. You don't crave attention. You observe those who do. You don't react to disrespect. You let silence dismantle it. That level of control terrifies people. Not because you're violent, but because you're invincible. There's no handle to pull you down, no wound to exploit, no ego to manipulate. You've taken full custody of your mind, and that scares those who rely on others to think for them. Nietzsche understood this. He knew that to be truly free, you must become terrifying to the lies that once controlled you. That's the mind you're building. One forged in solitude, fed with truth, and armored with focus. And once it's complete, there is no force left that can break it. When your thoughts no longer betray you, when your emotions no longer command you, and when your silence speaks louder than words, that's when you know you've stepped into real power. People begin to notice, but they can't explain it. You walk into a room and everything shifts. Not because you're loud, not because you demand it, but because your presence carries weight. That's what happens when your mind is trained to endure without complaint, to think without fear, and to act without hesitation. You don't need to dominate conversations to prove your strength. Your restraint says more than aggression ever could. And when someone tries to provoke you, they quickly realize they're fighting a wall of self-control, not a mirror of their chaos. Most people are ruled by impulses, by opinions, by the fear of being misunderstood. But you've chosen a different path. You've accepted that loneliness is a price for clarity. You've embraced the discomfort that forges mental armor. And now, you've become someone who cannot be shaken, cannot be manipulated, and cannot be ignored. A mind like that doesn't just earn respect. It commands it, not through force, through presence, through discipline, through the quiet power that Nietzsche believed could change the very structure of society. This is not about becoming better than others. It's about becoming immune to what weakens others. And that's what makes you dangerous. The moment you stop reacting is the moment you start leading. Most people are puppets pulled by the strings of anger, praise, rejection, and doubt. But when your mind no longer jumps at every pull, when it watches instead of flinches, when it pauses instead of panics, you stepped into real power. You walk through life not as someone desperate to win arguments, but as someone who understands that silence often wins wars. That emotional detachment is not weakness, it's strategic control. That your enemy wants your reaction more than your answer. And by denying them both, you deny them power. Nietzsche spoke of the Übermensch, the one who transcends petty conflict, who chooses his own values instead of inheriting society's noise. That kind of man does not shout to be understood. He builds a mind so strong that others fall silent in his presence. People begin to mirror your calm. They question their chaos. They wonder what you know that they don't. But you reveal nothing, because the truth is, the power was never in proving yourself. It was in being so certain of who you are that no one else's opinion could touch you. That's the kind of strength that terrifies, because it cannot be bought, bullied, or broken. It is earned in isolation, forged in fire, and wielded without words. You must train your mind to see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. The weak man builds fantasies, he builds assumptions, he builds expectations. But the strong man builds clarity. And clarity is terrifying, because it means you see people without illusion. You no longer fall for sweet words or surface smiles. You look deeper through silence, through contradiction, through motive. You begin to read energy, not faces. You understand when someone's praise is manipulation. You sense when kindness is bait, and you no longer play along. That's when they start fearing you, because most people survive by deception. They hide their intentions behind charm. But when you refuse to react, when you observe without revealing yourself, they feel exposed. They sense they cannot control you. And that terrifies them, because your mind is no longer a battlefield. It is a fortress. Your thoughts are no longer wild animals. They're disciplined soldiers. You do not chase validation. You do not argue to be right. You do not explain your silence. And this kind of power doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It doesn't fight for the spotlight. It simply exists, unshaken, immovable. Nietzsche understood this. He believed that the superior man does not conform. He carves his own code. He stands where others crumble. He thinks where others react. And he lives by an inner standard that no one can alter. That is how you build a mind that terrifies. By no longer needing to convince anyone of anything. You become your own proof. What terrifies people is not your strength. Is the silence you carry when others expect noise. Is the calm you embody when others seek reaction. A powerful mind does not need to announce itself. It sits quietly, observing, calculating, and waiting. And when it moves, it does so with intention, precision, and force. You are not here to impress anyone. You are here to understand yourself so deeply that no opinion can shake you. No insult can reach you. No chaos can disturb your clarity. When your mind becomes your ally, the world loses its grip on you. Fear fades, neediness ceases, and peace, the kind that cannot be stolen, becomes your baseline. The ones who speak the loudest are rarely the strongest. The ones who chase applause are often the most unsure. But you will walk through fire without flinching, because the fire lives inside you. Let others play games. Let others seek validation. You're too busy building an empire inside your skull. If you felt something shift inside you during this video, that was not by accident. That was a part of you waking up. Do not put back to sleep. If this message spoke to you, give this video a like, share it with someone walking the same path, and subscribe to Psyvoria so we can continue creating a mind the world is not prepared for. The mind is your battlefield. Win here, and nothing out there can touch you.